Hello, everybody. Today is March 13th, and we are going to do a live session. Before I start, please read this disclosure. Galtrade.com only engages in the business of teaching how to trade. We do not engage in offering any trading services. Trading commodities and options involves substantial risk of loss. The information here is of opinion only and do not guarantee any profit. So please look at that. It's very important that you read this. You can pause your screen so I can move on. All right, so what do we got here? Technically, what we have is a very difficult market. But you're lucky because I'm good at what I do. So let's take it from there. All right, so what we have here, just really short, we'll get into it in the rest of the videos. As I keep talking, you're going to understand what's going on in this market. So bottom line, the market was at a high. I grew up in the dot-com bubble. I saw stocks going from 100 to $1 in like 3 days. So I'm a pessimist. I sniff this stuff out. So I'm actually holding a short on the SPY from 607. Um, Wish I had it higher, but do not. So what we're looking at it here is you're looking right now at the VIX, Dow Jones, SPX, NDX. I don't know, Marvel's doing in there. I just put in there by accident, and XLV. It should be XLF. We should do that. XLF. There you go. So healthcare has been the strong sector, right? And the XLF has been the strong sector. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly the best points for trades with the minimum risk and how I get there. You can follow how I trade live, which is really, really cool. I also am going to show you this year how I'm taking in account with $25,000, 26, because the minimum for day trading is 25. And I'm going to hopefully turn it into a lot more than $26,000, right? All right, so what do we have here? So as you can tell, this is a daily chart, right? I need to give you a background for a few minutes so we can get into this. The Dow Jones is breaking a 50% retracement. I'm a chartist. I'm a specialist in charts. So that means the next level is a 61% retracement, which is 40, what is 40,420, okay? Every single time we broke one level, we're going to the next. So we broke the 38%, the next level was the 200-day moving average, which is the blue line, and then the 50% Fibonacci's. Now I got nothing until the 61. That's next support. NASDAQ, which is the NDX and the comp, same story. This is also an upward sloping trend line going back 3 years, I think from the end of COVID. So 2020, 2021. So we broke that. We're on a trend, we're we're below that. We can't go up. We got a good PPI, good CPI yesterday. Nada, nothing. No one wants to buy anything yet. The SPY is almost hitting yesterday's low. Okay. The Dow Jones is breaking yesterday's low. The diamonds are almost breaking yesterday's low. That means that and the Dow Jones, by the way, has been leading. Okay. So what am I trading? So I traded the momentum ETF because momentum stocks are all falling, right? So I started trading the MTUM. I've been shorting it from 220. But I'm going to show you also how I go into specific stocks, which is really, really cool. All right, so let's get back into some specific stocks. I'm going to give you along the way, don't forget, specific points to learn how you can actually get into things. So I'm going to show you right now one of my strategies. All right, so right now the S&P is breaking, I told you, down. It's breaking yesterday's low, and it's almost entering 2 days ago's low. So what am I trading? I'm trading momentum stocks right now, right? So I'm trading PLTR, Hood, App, and Reddit. What I do is I specialize. One of the things I learned how to trade was I started trading semiconductors. So I actually concentrated on one stock. People think they could trade like 100 stocks. Yeah, today I trade 300 stocks. But when I started trading one stock. It was a semiconductor stock. It was called ACAM, AKAM. And then every single month I add another stock and I specialize in that sector. You want to learn how to trade, you need to learn how to trade one stock. But in order for this not to be boring, I'm not doing that for you. So what I'm doing is I'm going to show you tons of things, but I'm going to always concentrate on a few things. So what I'm got right now is I really like the momentum ETF down, right? It's almost hitting yesterday's low. I'm looking at that on the side. You can't see it right now. I could see it because I'm looking at another screen. I'll I'll show it to you in a second. I just want to see if we are hitting the last month's low on the momentum ETF. No, the low is 199.62, and there is a major trend line over there for support. Let me fix that. 199.61. Sorry, 193.61. That was the low 3 days ago, and it hit a support trend line and it bounced up. So why am I showing you these three stocks? I'm showing you these three stocks because they're all correlated as momentum stocks. Okay, that's it. The Dow just broke yesterday's low. That means this is continuing this down. Nobody wants to buy anything. Everybody thought I actually lost money buying some calls yesterday on the spot. Because I figured, okay, we need a bounce. Everybody said, yeah, we need a bounce. Some analysts got on TV and everywhere and said, we need a bounce. Forget this bounce. Not happening. All my friends are like, yeah, I'm buying stocks. I'm like, don't buy anything. Just buy some bonds, put it in in a CD for, from week to week or day to day, just to see what's going on here. So I'm short, just to give you an idea. Google, Apple. Apple's been getting crushed. IBM. IBM is also falling apart. It's on a high too, so it could actually fall apart a little. Sorry, IBM's not falling apart, but it's on a high, it could fall a little lower. But why am I showing you these specific stocks? Because these are momentum stocks. They were up. AppLovin was the stock with the most momentum, so it could go down the most. Palantir. Everybody was buying Palantir, right? For the longest time, everybody was buying Palantir. Let me show you what's going on here, just so you kind of understand what I'm doing. So here's Palantir. We're going to look at 10 days, 1 hour chart. Boom. And there you see, I had a trend line going back. I think the trend line goes back for like a few weeks or a few months. So this was an upward sloping trend line. We broke it to the downside yesterday, a few days ago. I started shorting. We hit a Fibonacci number. I took some profit, came back up, and now I had to make a decision. Do I keep shorting this or do I not keep shorting this? And I decided today to jump back in right around the open. Jump back in because we started breaking the trend line back down to the lower side. Now let's take a look at Hood. Hood I actually like very much for a long-term trade, but I'm a day trader. I do what happens. I trade with what the market gives me, okay? So if I'm looking at Hood, I had two trend lines, upward sloping trend lines from the last few months, and we broke the first one. We came to the second one. We supported a 61% Fibonacci retracement, which is right here, the purple line. So I went in there, and then we had another retracement. If you come to my course, you'll understand how I get to these Fibonacci retracements. So, so I jumped in here on the long. We only went up like it was 7% yesterday. I got out of most of them. I'm still holding one call. I usually day trade stocks and not options. If I'm trading overnight, I take it in options, and I wanted it overnight 2 days ago. So now where are we holding? Now we're holding at a point whereby I'm not ready to short Hood yet. Why? Because Hood is still above this upward sloping trend line, right? And the momentum ETF that I have, I told you, is also above a upward sloping trend line like this, which has been coming in for a few months. But Palantir, I am ready to short again. And that's what I did, okay? AppLovin, and these Fibonacci numbers, trust me, they work. I'll give you an example. Look at how perfectly, wow, Apple is falling apart. Ooh, 212, 213, I mean, sorry. Nobody's touching Apple, and we keep getting analyst downgrades. So whenever you're getting analyst downgrades or upgrades, it helps the momentum of your stock. So if you're getting upgrades, the stock is actually going up, right? You want the upgrades. Analyst upgrades are a good thing. All right, so I got to go, but let me just take a break for a few minutes, but let me just show you what's going on here with AppLovin, right? So I'm going to take you down to a 30-day chart. 30-day chart. Here we are. Boom. You see this? AppLovin hit exactly a Fibonacci retracement for 61%. Boom. Look on the dollar, on the cent. It was 225.01. The Fibonacci retracement was 225.25. You know, so kind of cheats a little bit. Sometimes cheats by a lot. You got to just figure out, especially a stock as volatile as this. So that's how I knew to buy AppLovin, right? I'm not going to buy this thing with hold it overnight with stock. I'll hold it with options only. I held it only overnight one day. So just to give you an idea of what's going on here. So now what I want is I want to see AppLovin break this level to go further down. And then only then maybe I will enter. I usually try to sell resistance, which is, you know, around there and not on a breakout. But if this market has been tanking like there's no tomorrow, and that's why I have been also sometimes jumping with stocks on the way down because things are just falling like a knife, which is, so then I know I could jump in there. If the market's trading sideways, I would never short a break of support, okay, or buy a break of a resistance because things are just, it never works. That's usually where the sellers sell or the buyers or the buyers are selling. So bottom line, I'm shorting Plantier. I want to short Hood, but I'm not shorting Hood yet. Okay. Right here is actually a buy for Hood, but the market is actually falling apart right now, so I'm not going to buy. You have to also know when do you want to jump in on a buy, when do you want to jump in on a short. You got to go with the trend. The trend is down. So I'm done. 2 days ago, the trend was showing that it's going to turn, and Hood was supporting support. So I bought the support level, 35.50, went up to my next resistance. And look how the Fibonacci numbers are working perfectly. 39.82, boom. That's where it started going down. Should I have shorted it? I still gave this market a little bit of chance to go up, and Hood was really strong. So no, I didn't want to short this one. Plantier, though, I wanted to short. As soon as it broke, you see, this was on a breakdown. I told you I usually don't do that, but in this type of market, things are just falling like a knife. You could actually, then it's worth it to take some of this risk, especially because I saw AppLovin falling apart and the Momentum ETF falling apart and Reddit. All right, so we're back. So as I told you, I had an upward sloping trend line here on Robinhood, right? This is where the support was, which is where I bought last time, right around here. Okay, all the way from here I bought. You have to average down because you have three supports. It's a 61 retracement, another Fibonacci that I'm running, that's a 50% retracement, and I hit the 50% retracement on the dot. And it went up to 39 to the 50% retracement. Notice how it's stopping exactly. Now I figured out how the computers think at Goldman Sachs, at Morgan Stanley. I know it sounds crazy. I've done it in the past. We'll talk about it some other day. So now we're back to the trend line and we're supporting. So I got one call left from 35.50. I'm going to hold it. If it breaks, I'll sell it. I'm down on that call. But we'll go back to Plantier. So Plantier, I said when it breaks the trend line, I'm going the upward sloping trend line. These trend lines have been in place. You go back months, okay, and they're in place. And we broke it to the downside. So now we came to the pivot point, which is the first support that I see, which is really nothing, you know, from 83 to 78, but that's $5. So this would be the first indication, okay, close some of your position. You have to learn how to take profit. So around $79, you got to close some of these, either whether you short stock or whether you short options, you got to cover some of your position. And now you wait for it to go back up to some sort of resistance. The resistance seems to be right now my moving averages. These are three moving averages that I use. intraday, I use the 10, 20, 30. For swing trading, I use different ones. And for long-term trading, I use different ones. All right, so we got the idea on Plantier. I believe Plantier is going to go up. Robinhood could still keep going up as long as we hold this area, right? But this is a huge area, all the way from 36 to 32. What is going to help me is really the momentum ETF. Let's take a look at the momentum ETF. So the momentum ETF, there's an upward sloping trend line that's been here also for months, right? So if I'm going to run, we ran it and it fell all the way to the dot on the momentum ETF. That's where I covered my shorts. I've been shorting this thing from like 220. It hit it on the dot and tried to rally. And it hit today, it hit the downward sloping trend line. Look at that. These things work perfectly. Okay. You just got to learn how to do it. Practice makes perfect. And here we are. Now I'm going to extend. I know where this trend line really hit, right? I could extend this trend line. I can't give you away all my secrets. That's why I can't show you the whole chart. But here we go. There we go. I'm going to extend it. Now I got it going on for tomorrow. So I know what the future holds. Now the SPY, we just hit 550. 550 is a round number, right? It's a psychological number. And the SPY jumped from 550. I just closed one of my puts on the SPY right when it hit 550, just because it's psychological number. There were no support zones there. Okay, so here we are with the momentum ETF. Now this is the ETF. These are the stocks that got hit the hardest. We're talking AppLovin and so on. So this is what I use on an intraday level to help me figure out what's going on here. Okay, so I look at it on a 5-minute basis, 15 minutes, 60 minutes, and a 4-hour basis, and it helps me understand whether my Plantier or my Hood or my AppLovin and my Reddit are going down or up. Okay, so that's technically what I'm doing here. All right, let's go back. Look at something else. Here's the XLF. So I just decided to cover my XLF position just here when it hit the low at like 32. It went to 28. I covered at 32. Why? Because technically this was a bottom already. 1, 2, 3 days in a row. And it hit that area, 28, right when the SPY hit the 550. Now I got to make a decision. Am I going to be a pig? Pigs get slaughters. You got to learn how to trade. So I covered it. Jumped to 47, 47. Doesn't mean that I don't think that this XLF is going to go up, because I got no support for the XLF until 46.62. And it seems to me like I got the 200 moving average at 46.45. That's where I expect this XLF to fall to. Perhaps it could happen tomorrow. I might enter this trade again because this thing keeps jumping up to $48. Okay, so that's how I'm looking at the XLF. Let's look at another one. I'm going to show you some trades that I got going on here. And this is how you could actually maybe learn how to trade. All right, Apple. Apple hit, you see this green line, 240, 237, 44? That was an all-time high from like July. And then Apple broke it, went up to like 260 area, if I recall. And then it started coming back in. And then it broke this trend line, which was also an upward sloping trend line. I don't recall when it's from. I'm not about to look at it, but we broke it. Okay. But what did catch my eye is that we hit this resistance at 237.44 right when the market started crashing. And then fundamental news, negative fundamental news started coming out about Apple. And ever since, Apple's just been in a downward sloping trend line. Here we go. I'll show you how I draw this line. You could see how I'm doing it. All right. Just draw the line. It's pretty simple. You take the top, you draw it all the way down to the bottom. You should do this without intraday. There you see, without the overnight. Over here, I got the, oh boy, that's a problem. So usually what I do is the gray area that you're looking at is pre-market and after hours. You see, if I would go just on the blacks, it's regular trading hours. If I cut through, it cuts through and turns this area that Apple just stopped at 210 into a support zone. That's not something I wanted to see. All right. So that's one line. And then I would take another line, okay, to see if it broke the actual resistance. It probably didn't. I could see just by looking at it with my eyes, but that was an area to take some profit. But because I've been playing around with you guys, I kind of missed my profit target, right? So there we go. Today we tried to break it a little bit. Tomorrow we could adjust it. These were the resistance zones for Apple. All right. And it tried to break it today a little bit. Pre-market didn't happen, and we kept on falling. So Apple, I'm happy with. I hope I see 200 next week on Apple. You know, you got some big players shorting Apple. What else am I going to show you? Google. All right, Google, I re-entered a short today. What happened with Google was I had some, the lawsuit, it's being sued by the government, right? And what happened with Google was, right? Okay, so I entered a short when we broke an upward sloping trend line right around here, 184 area. When it broke that area, 184.19. And then we just went all the way back down to the next trend line. This is a serious, serious trend line. I actually even took a long here. I had to do with options because Google is very scary when it comes to these areas, to these trend lines. They always fake me out when I'm holding the stock. And since then, I decided if I'm holding this thing overnight, it's got to be with options, especially on a scary, scary market. So I went long. It was 2 days ago, right? The market, everyone thought we're going to have a bottom. We had a good CPI number, but it didn't really work out. It went up. We moved up to, it was just a pivot point. It was like went up to 168.83, and we just stopped there. And ever since then, we've been going down. Now, if I break this down for you into a 5-minute chart, you'll be able to see what's going on here. Now, granted, the market wants to bounce, and if this trade is wrong, you're going to get squashed. You're going to lose your money, okay? Because this market is so oversold in the short term, it's unbelievable. I haven't seen RSI down below the, on a 4-hour chart and 1-hour chart. So it's like, I don't want to take this thing long because it broke this major trend line. And Google's got a lawsuit on it. I'd rather go long Amazon as opposed to Google. But today we broke this trend line again on the way down. So I shorted the 165 area. You see there was a resistance, 160, it was support 164.72, plus this trend line. We broke it, and we've been going down ever since. So as long as this trend line holds, the 165 holds, I'm going to be happy, okay? If this market continues to go down. But I don't know, we are due for a bounce. So because we're due for a bounce, I'm minimizing my overnights to options. I will not take that kind of risk. And I will also minimize my positions. Meaning if I usually take overnight position exposure of 10 grand, I will lower that to 5 grand, which is half or a third or a quarter of that, because the market is so volatile, because anything could happen at any moment. Trump could get on the news and be like, okay, no tariffs. You know what's going to happen to the market if Trump gets on the news and says no tariffs? Shit, this market is going to probably go up like, I don't know what, all the way back up to, the spike could jump up 20 points to 575. All right, so there we go with Google. We'll get to IBM in a few minutes. So what happened to IBM? IBM was at a high and the market was falling apart. That's the only, it was at resistance. I was like, man, 265? I'll take a 265 put. The all-time high was 265.72. We hit intraday, we went up to 266.45, right? I was all over that. I was like, I'll take that. Market's falling apart. IBM's making new high. This was like 5 days ago. I think the CEO was in Washington talking to whoever he's talking over there. No news came out. I was like, okay, I'll start with one call. Let's just see what happens here. And then I saw it's coming in, start taking some stock. End of the day, covered them. Next day, I'm coming in. I see it's continuing to go down, jumping on some more puts. And ever since it's been going down. Now, it hardly even came in, 265 to 247. What is that? It's like $10. I mean, $20. $20 on a 260. That's like, what is that? That's $20. That's 10%. How much did the market come in? Right? Stocks came in a lot more than that. Certain tech stocks. And IBM is considered a tech stock. Now, these things are happening very, very quick. So, yeah, I'm looking to continuing my short on IBM. And every single time what happens is it reaches my resistance levels. And I'll jump in on the resistance levels. I'll short it again. Goes back to the supports. I cover that put that I sold. While I'm talking, I see that the SPY is at 553.67. We hit that support at 550, and we're 553.67. Ask me why I'm not taking longs. Because 2 days ago, I took some longs, and I lost because the market didn't have any follow through. So this is, as of now, for me, this market is a downtrend. The fact that there was no follow through, if you think about it, on the end carry trade, I put up a video a few months ago. We retraced 38%. That same day, pre-market, we hit 38% retracement. We flew back up for the next 2 weeks. Then again, it happened, what happened about a month ago or 2 months ago? Also, something happened. I don't remember what it was. Also, we hit the 38% retracement, flew back up on the SPY and the diamonds, tons of ETFs. I was kind of in shock. How could this be happening? So, this time around, it didn't happen. We hit a 38% retracement, broke that I just showed you on Dow and on the NASDAQ, went to 50% retracement. We broke that today on the NASDAQ and the Dow. So I don't really believe that there are any buyers around. People are trying to get out. And if they're trying to get out now, when the market rises, the ones who didn't sell and they're like, oh man, I'm down tons of money. If the market goes back up, they're gonna be like, get me out. Okay. And they're gonna be getting out of their positions. I would if I was down money, right? And the market will come back in my favor. I'd be like, get me out of here. I don't want to be there. Hello, broker, out. Press that market order. I don't care what the market is. Market orders are dangerous. All right, let's one last one I'm gonna do for you. So I also like the XLP, believe it or not, XLP staples. They went up way too much. So I think their valuations were a little too much, even though whenever the markets go down, people buy XLP, but whatever. I don't see that happening. So I had one other trade I wanted to show you, which was, that's fine, let's look for it. Which was NVIDIA. How could I forget about NVIDIA, right? So what's the story in the video? So we hit that all-time high, 152. We tried to break, so I got a downward sloping trend line, right? We fell all the way down to like 113. We bounced back up, bang, exactly to that trend line. I actually took a nice short here with some options. I like actually trading options on the video because you know what? When these 0-day options and people are getting into the video, it pushes a stock like there's no tomorrow. Ever since then, I've been holding the video. I covered right around here. I didn't think it would break, but it did. Faked everybody out. Went back above the trend line, just like I showed you Plantier, went above the trend line, right? Came back in. When it came back in, I was like, okay, what to do now? 117 is supposed to be a major area, right? It was the 117, 118 area. Went into a small short. It went all the way down. I was shocked to 104. Pre-market, it went almost 50% retracement. The NASDAQ I just showed you did a 50% retracement. For the video do 50% retracement. I was like, okay, I'm all in. I actually started nibbling pre-market, and we went back up there yesterday and today again. people are anticipating that the video is going to come out. They got the GTC conference March 17th to the 21st. So people are anticipating that. So that's why I was like, okay, you always buy on the rumors, selling the news, I'm going to buy now. I'm going to sell it on March 17th. Today it hit 117 for the second time, right on the open. I saw somebody selling a block of a million something shares on a video. I was like, ah, great. So there we go. That's resistance for you. 117 and 118 is a resistance area. That whole area is resistance. If it breaks that, you could see the areas are the next one. 121, 129. Look for the 50-day moving average, 20-day moving average, and the 200-day moving average. Where can the video go to? I don't know. I don't know where it could go to. I'm assuming to one of the daily moving averages. Look at those. But I just gave you resistance areas. If I had to take a guess, I'd say NVIDIA could probably go down up to like, if it goes up 129. Then you have to do the risk reward ratio if it's worth it for you to even play these options. Because if you don't know how to play Fibonacci's and you don't know how to find bottoms, you're not going to be in the money. See, I have a choice that I got to make today. Am I holding this position? Am I selling half of it? Or am I letting it ride? I don't really go for home runs. I go base hit, double, triple. I last home run I had was 2 years ago on a Rivian. It's a crazy stock, right? I don't touch that thing anymore. It was kind of the story where I read the story. It had a storyline behind it. So that's why I went into Rivian. Started seeing everybody in California driving a Rivian. I was like, shit, I gotta check out their stock. I looked at it and people were like, yeah, there's a great car. There was a story behind the Rivian, so I bought it. But the story's over. You need catalyst. If you want your stock to make money, you need it to have a catalyst. You need analyst ratings, things that move it. SPY, 554. Where is the next resistance for the SPY? This is the VWAP. We just hit the VWAP on the SPY. This could be a resistance, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it go up a little more, all the way up to, let me find you a resistance on the SPY. So that's what I got for you in the video. I'm probably gonna sell half my position today in the video if it doesn't break 117. Look, market's going up, and the video is just hitting the trend line. All right, so Google's going to that area where I'm going to short it soon. So is IBM, 247. Remember, when things go up, because the market's going down, I want to sell when things are going up. Okay? They're coming up to resistance. I sell, they fall, they go to support, I buy. That's what market makers do. That's what hedge funds do. You can't just buy on the breakouts, sell on the breakouts through supports. That only happens in very, very volatile markets. Yes, this is a volatile market. That is correct, but you could do that with stock. It might work for you because then you could just get out if you see it doesn't work. With options, you're like down 50% of the option in like 2 seconds. Doesn't even make any sense. So the short-term day options are a losing bet unless you really, really know what you're doing. Don't go near that. Even I try to stay away from that because I'm getting burnt most of the times. They only work certain times. A lot of volatility, you need to catch the exact right spot. Okay, so that's that. You got the video. I will see you guys on the next video. Have an amazing day. Don't forget to hedge. If you have a lot of shorts, maybe it's worth buying a SPY, just to hedge against your position. If you have a lot of longs, maybe it's worth shorting the SPY to hedge against your long positions. All right, see you tomorrow. Cheers.